Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the Geek Dhaba podcast. Joining me is avid movie lover Junaid, Mubarak, Amar, and we're all Batman fans here, but we have one thing that we want to discuss today. Is Batman as a character overrated? So, what are your thoughts on that, guys?
Tread lightly, my friend.
I'm just going to say no. And you better watch out for the comments on this.
Oh yeah.
Well, so we're going to be analyzing a couple of things about Batman. Specifically, there are three sections that we're going to be talking about, and we'll open the floor for everybody to discuss. And yeah, let's open the dhaba. And we're back. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to Batman is his skill set. Now, Batman, yes, he has a great skill set. He has the ability, he has training from the League of Shadows, the League of Assassins, actually, in the original comics from Ra's al Ghul. He's been training under multiple different people, including Zataro, and he is just an overall one man army when it comes to being a hero. But that's kind of the problem, isn't it? We kind of hail Batman as this guy who has no powers and can go toe to toe with the League. But the truth is, he has all this training. Like, he's been trained in the magic arts by Jotaro, he's been trained in assassination techniques, he's been trained in a lot of things. He's not exactly a person with no powers. I mean, look at Green Arrow. Why don't we hail Green Arrow with to such high regard? Why don't we hail the original Blue Beetle to that regard? Why do we only hail Batman to such a high standard when it comes to being a hero with no powers?
Okay. So, well, there are a lot of things. First of all, you ever heard of Chuck Norris? Everybody heard of Chuck Norris, right? Chuck Norris is basically sci-fi. You cannot kill Chuck Norris, right? I will start. Can you beat Chuck Norris? No. Batman is the Chuck freaking Norris of DC. And again, there are a lot of things which make Batman not overrated because one, he's been trained. He didn't just start off, he didn't have all the powers given to him. He has one power, which even he said in Justice League as well. With superpower he has, he's damn rich. Which makes him which makes him the closest to reality as it gets. We cannot all the superheroes, let's say Superman, no no comparison with reality, right? Flash, no comparison with reality. Wonder Woman, no comparison with reality. Batman, you can compare him with reality because whatever things he has built, Batmobile, Batcave, the weapons, Batarangs, all can be done in reality. So it makes him the closest it can get. The second thing, people say that, dude, Batman can beat gods and this and that. Again, the problem, the thing lies in this is plot armor. Batman, you can never see a Batman movie and be like, okay, this is the villain, and Batman cannot defeat him in whatever thing he prepares, and he goes according to the game plan. And this is not one thing that okay, if it's Batman, he's always going to defeat the enemy. No, we've seen Batman be defeated. We've seen Batman fall to the ground while chasing enemies in Year One, if I'm not forgetting, when he fell from the roof. So I will come into this in a more depth, but I will just forward it to Mubarak, I think, because he's against.
Yeah. I'm more or less against, but at the same time I'm with. I'm neutral but leaning against for this episode. Okay, so you have one man who's traumatized by his parents' death, and he uses that as his motivation. How do we not know he's how do we know he's not psychotic or something? billionaire dressed up as a bat beating up criminals. That's that's kind of weird. No matter how much training you have, at the end of the day, if your motivation is you gotta avenge your parents dressed as a bat, surely there's something wrong. What do you say, Amar? You want to dress up as a bat right now?
Let me just make one statement here. Batman is not psychotic.
Oh. Oh, look behind you. It's Martha.
Why did you say that name? In all seriousness, though, at the same time, it can be explained to a better degree from what I'm about to say, but there is a reason why Batman is praised to the point that he is. One, being the first hero without powers, although, yes, a lot of other heroes do exist without powers. Technically, the Green Lantern Corps, technically, they're all without powers, and they have their rings that give them their power. Totally different. Blue Beetle, an example Omer gave. Uh, Alien technology or technology in general, giving the abilities, totally different. Batman built himself up to be the person he is, and as well as personally developed the weapons and tools he used in battle. That type of mix of brute strength with intelligence and marksmanship, with the ability to actually handle situations the way it is, being able to do it all yourself. Although eventually he does get sidekicks, and quite frankly, nowadays DC only makes comics based off his sidekicks. DC, what's wrong with you? That's besides the point. Uh, but yeah, the thing here is that the only reason people like Batman is because he actually has it all. In the comics, he made it sure like he has it all. If we look beyond him being a billionaire, he trained himself to be intelligent, being able to think ahead of everybody else, not necessarily in the way how people say if he has prep time. No, he understands the situation and then builds on it right away. Does that mean that he could do well in a situation where he's battling the Joker and suddenly Clayface shows up? No. Would he be able to do well in a situation where he's dealing with Mr. Freeze and out of nowhere Poison Ivy helps him? Watch Batman and Robin. You'll see the answer is no. But will he be able to deal with thugs and deal with a meta villain right away? In a way. Like, he prepares himself for the unexpected, but sometimes you can't expect everything. You can't expect a meta human villain to show up against you, and out of nowhere someone else is going to show up. But would you be prepared to deal with certain situations? He understands that this is going to happen. He understands that, yes, you're dealing with non-powered and powered heroes, villains, I mean, sorry. So you need to be prepared to have everything you need. Will he be right all the time? No, honestly, obviously. But does he actually think it through? Does he actually deal with the situation? Yeah. He actually thinks about it. Compared to everybody else who's just like, say, Superman. He doesn't need to prepare. He has every power in the world. What does he have to worry about? Green Lantern, the ring helps him out. Wonder Woman's an Amazon. And apart from that, she is practically a goddess in her own way. She is fine. And the Flash, fastest man alive. You guys get the idea. Batman is more like the super genius in the team. And that is the one thing he gives, and he makes up for it, if that's not the only thing people want, by training to the highest physical degree he could. And that's why people love him. People love that he is training himself both mentally and physically to be the best in all forms, being able to think through everything and use his fists and strength when need be. A combination of brains and brawn. That's what people like. So that's why people love Batman.
The question
Okay,
wasn't on whether or
I have a
not.
question for
Yeah.
Umer. Can you see Superman without the knowledge of Krypton? Can you see Flash without the knowledge of the Super Force, Speed Force? Can you see Iron Man without having any knowledge of Ultron making any move. Can you see Captain America without knowing anything about Hydra? Yes, you can. Can you see Batman unprepared ever going to face any enemy? No. He's always prepared. He's done his homework every time. Even when we were watching Batman versus Superman, he had knowledge of Wonder Woman without knowing, without anyone knowing about her. So he does his homework.
Okay. Homework question right there. Why didn't he know Superman's mother's name? Huh? What happened to that preparation? What happened to that homework, huh?
Oh,
Dude,
I I love this
when
setup, by the
someone
way.
hits your weak spot, when they hit your weak spot,
Um,
you get pissed.
Martha.
this debate's about to get started. Junaid, that question. I can answer that question
Yeah,
so beautifully. Let's talk about. Okay,
sure.
let's talk about that, shall we? Okay, let me get into it. First of all, let me answer more. One of the question isn't whether or not Batman is light. I can like we can understand why Batman is light. One of the most represented superheroes in media. Like a lot of people's first superhero of all time is Batman, especially those of us who grew up in like armed forces or anything. We call the butlers Batmans. So like we kind of grew up with the perception of Batman in our head, right? And that's like beside the point, right? So like the perception of people of Batman isn't the issue. The perception is whether or not Batman as a character is overrated. And now talking to Junaid, let's talk about that Batman always being prepared thing that you just said. I would like to remind you about Justice League Doom. Who was prepared for getting their contingencies stolen? It wasn't Batman, that's for sure. Who was there are a lot of other situations. Who was prepared to come out of retirement in The Dark Knight Returns? It wasn't Batman. Who was prepared to kill the Joker? It wasn't Batman till that last moment. Batman, the basic thought that Batman is always prepared is a logical fallacy. Batman is almost never prepared. Batman seems prepared only when he's written by Frank Miller and Jeff Jones. That is it. Batman was not prepared in New 52's Justice League. Batman was like, even he shat himself when he saw a parademon for the first time. Batman was not prepared
Right.
for a lot of things in comic history, in movie
Yeah,
history.
but the thing comes when he's not prepared. There are a lot of moments when he's not prepared. For example, when he was in some comic, it was like he was going against a possessed Superman or something, and he couldn't beat him, of course. But the thing is, when he's not prepared and he knows he won't be able to defeat the enemy, he stalls and he goes back and does his homework again and then comes back. We even see that when we were seeing the Batman, what was the movie? It was Dark Knight, I believe, where Batman goes back and gets prepared again because he knew when Scarecrow comes when they were breaking into Arkham Asylum. So the
That was
Batman goes
Batman
back and then he
Begins.
prepares and then comes back. The go.
That was
Yeah.
Batman Begins. But yeah, see, look, that's the thing. The thought that Batman is always prepared is just wrong because see, he wasn't prepared for those situations. He had to go prepare himself for those situations. See, the fact that the mere thought that Batman is always prepared is just wrong. In the movies, the Mirror Master stole the plans. In the comics, it was Talia al Ghul. In both cases, he wasn't prepared for any of his information being stolen. Okay, Batman as a person, Batman has some feats, right? I won't deny that he's able to dodge an Omega beam. He's able to, he traveled through time. He did a lot of cool stuff. Okay, but you need to realize that the reason Batman did all this cool stuff is because we hyped up Batman to the extent we wanted to see him do more cool stuff. Now, and that could have easily been Booster Gold. It could have easily been Blue Beetle. It could have easily been Green Arrow. It could have easily been Robin. It could have easily been Nightwing. It could have been anybody else. But we hyped up Batman to the point where Batman had to be the one featured over here. Batman had to be the one to be center stage. And if we didn't hype up Batman to this extent, not even us, if Frank Miller didn't hype up Batman in The Dark Knight Returns by making him beat Superman, which, by the way, Frank Miller himself has confirmed that if Superman was holding back in that fight. If Superman wanted to, he could have snapped Batman like a twig at any time. The fact is that we have made Batman to be this big thing, where the reality is any hero in the DC universe could have been just as big, right? I could easily see like Nightwing being that good. I could easily see Booster Gold or Atom being just as good if they were just a bit more popular. But there's another debate about what made Batman popular, and I'm going to get into that as well. I don't think that Batman deserves the credit that he has, that, oh, he is the ultimate strategist. No, he really isn't. He really is far from that. The amount of times he's had his ass handed to him is a different thing altogether. Yes, he's won a lot of fights, but he's had his ass handed to him too. And it's like not, it's nothing that, I mean, let's talk about Nightfall. Bane broke his back. Dark Knight Rises, same thing. Bane broke his back. Where was his preparedness then? He was going to fight a fucking 200-pound wrestler. Where was his preparedness at that time? Okay. Oh yeah, I don't need my spinal cord. Anyway, like it's just a matter of like we the fans have hyped up Batman to this extent. I like let me get one thing clear. I love Batman. I'm a big fan of Batman, but I'm just not a fan of it's his fans, if that makes sense, because of everything that they're saying about Batman. So like, but based on what I've said, I want to hear like everybody's perceptions. Like I'll start with Junaid.
Am I a joke to you?
Okay, I thought you were going to speak.
I'm saving my moment. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So one thing you said that why was Nightwing given the opportunity? Why wasn't Green Lantern or why wasn't Green Arrow given the opportunity? Well, again, the thing becomes the way we've known Batman and the way the story has been told to us since they created Batman, that he has his internal struggles to follow. He has fears he overcame. He learned from the best. He learned by what's it called, like by a struggle, and then he used his billionaire status to help fight the villains. Now the thing again which comes is Superman could have broken his neck. Fine, Superman could have broken his neck. But again, who was the one who found out the weakness? Even when we were watching Batman versus Superman, who was the one who could have almost killed Superman with the Krypton he made? Superman was going to fall on his knees if we watch the scene where the Martha scene becomes king, and we're all making fun of the Martha scene. But the thing on that scene was, if that word wouldn't have come in that point, maybe Superman would have been no more. We've all seen Superman die and come back, right? And yes, we've seen Batman being defeated by Superman. We've seen Batman defeated by Wonder Woman once or twice. That becomes the main point. He's not afraid of giving the fight, bringing the fight to the enemies. He's not always prepared, but he goes back, he prepares, and then he hits the person again. If this was Superman, which would have been defeated by any villain, for instance, Superman would have gone berserk and would have destroyed the whole city. We've seen that side of Superman in the movies. We've seen the side of Aquaman. He's a drunk, so if he cannot defeat it, he will destroy anything. But Batman doesn't do that. Batman thinks of people who are surrounded. He brings the villain to an what's the word, to a barren place or to a faraway place where people won't get hurt. We've seen it in the Dark Knight when people's lives were at risk, when Joker gave the bomb and everything into the hands of the people. He made sure nobody would have done it. He made sure he had a better plan to defeat the villain. That's what I'm going to say. Even if he's not prepared, he has some backup plan to go to. He won't go ahead and face the villain. Okay, I cannot defeat you. I know, but I'll just be a jerk and I'll just show off, right? So I'm just going to give it to Amar to continue. I think.
Yeah, Amar, take it away.
Okay, so let me see. What do I want to talk about here? Let's see. Let me explain why. As I mentioned, I think I'm pretty sure I mentioned it already. Why that why wasn't Booster Gold or Blue Beetle or even Green Lantern given more focus compared to Batman? So how do I want to phrase this properly? Okay, the one thing about Batman is, I think it's because we're looking at the wrong character. If I'm being honest, we're not supposed to be looking at Batman. We should be looking at Robin, because think of it this way. I mean, one thing that Batman had that every other comic didn't at the time was that Batman had a sidekick. Batman had Robin, a child sidekick fighting alongside Batman. So you could say that Robin was this character that every kid projected themselves into, being able to work with Batman, being able to help him when he's in trouble, being able to, well, be with Batman in every scenario, help him fight crime, help him in his time of need, and fighting the Joker, fighting the Penguin, all of this. When that introduction happened, that's when you started seeing Batman in majority of media. And apart from before Tim Burton's Batman, in fact, there was no Batman media, as far as my knowledge goes. Anyone do correct me, that did not have Robin in it. The 60s Batman had it. There were Batman movies in the 1950s,
What
something
about the
around that
Keaton
line.
one?
The Keaton
The
one was 1989, and that one did not have Robin. I'm talking about before that. The ones before that.
yeah, the ones before that. Yeah.
Yeah. The 60s one, the 1966 Batman movie had Robin in it. The TV show had Robin in it. There was a movie I think in the 40s and 50s. I don't remember exactly what date it was, but it had Robin in it. And every Batman TV show that happened around the time in the 60s and 70s all had Robin as a sidekick. So the presence of Robin allowed kids to project themselves to be able to work with Batman, something that no hero did existing at the time, at least as a child sidekick. You could argue about Bucky from Captain America.
No, but even I will add one point. Even
Mhm.
without Robin, Batman did introduce Nightwing. Batman eventually did
Nightwing
introduce
would
the
not have
whole.
existed without Robin.
Yeah, but in the future, I'm talking about. He did make a whole team. Even we see Bat Dog, I think. If I'm not
Hmm. That's exactly my point. Like if the idea of Batman having multiple sidekicks and being able to protect them into bigger, better sidekicks, all of that started with Robin. If Robin was never introduced, it would never have happened. It would have been like Superman being his own separate thing and Batman being his own separate thing. Eventually, they even give Superman a sidekick. Lots of them.
The dog?
The dog. I'm pretty sure there was a monkey at one point.
What?
Yeah. There was, I think.
Yeah.
I've
And
already
let's not forget Superboy, Supergirl, and there's Steel. I can go on really.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. In 1943 and then 1949, and then you had the Batman 66.
Mhm.
Very famous Robin. And then the Tim Burton series. Yeah, where
The two Tim
Yeah.
Burton movies don't have Batman. Don't have Robin. The Joel Schumacher movies had Robin.
So I think it's just the Batman Forever and no, actually no, it's just Batman and Batman Returns that don't have a Robin. Apart from
Exactly.
that, we have Robins.
Exactly, because the Tim
Mm.
Burton movies tried to go for a more darker, origin-esque approach. Even in Burton's original idea in Batman Forever, that he meant to introduce Robin, but because of issues with how Batman Returns did in terms of how dark it was, Warner Brothers wanted to pull Burton off the project and give it to Joel Schumacher, who wanted to target it more to kids. So again, that actually enforces my argument here. Robin being able to kids at the time reading comics projecting themselves into Robin is what made Batman popular. That is one way to look at it.
That is, yeah, surprisingly, I thank you for that perspective. I I didn't think of that. I don't think any of us did. We were so focused on Batman that we forgot his backbone, basically.
Not the one Bane broke.
Yeah, Umer.
No, so like here's the thing. I agree. Because of Robin, Batman was popularized. In fact, that was something that I was going to discuss, but I'm glad Amar brought it up because he would had better points than I did. The That's not the main thing though. Batman's true rise to fame didn't come. It did come from Robin because kids would pick up Batman because Batman was a bit more colorful in the earlier days in the 60s and 70s and the early 80s. He was a bit more colorful until Frank Miller came along and gave us The Dark Knight Returns, and then those two god awful sequels to The Dark Knight Returns. Well, The Dark Knight Returns is a master class in storytelling, but the sequels not so much. The problem mainly lies from the Dark Knight Returns perspective of Batman, because then the entire perspective of Batman changed. Before that, Batman wasn't this brooding strategist type person. He was this happy-go-lucky guy who had $1 billion, and he would just go around once in a while solving crime in a comedic way. And I genuinely mean comedic. Who can forget that classic Batman story where he wears pink, yellow, green, blue, and white costumes all across the city just so that nobody would know Robin broke their arm? The story of Rainbow Batman. It's canon. Look it up. There you go. That's the kind of stuff Batman did back in the day. He wasn't this, dark, edgy character that people see him as today. The problem mostly that makes him this character and that twisted the narrative for him to become like that mostly stems from The Dark Knight Returns, because The Dark Knight Returns
1986.
in 1986 exactly. Since The Dark Knight Returns came out in 1986, we've had this change in perspective. Back then, I think Jason Todd was just like this afterthought, because there is no Jason Todd in The Dark Knight Returns. It's just Dick Grayson. And the major thing being that Batman changed, right? His perspective on a lot of things changed, and he was older, and the story became more dark. Batman was seen as this more dark, edgy character because that was what Frank Miller used to write. He used to write dark, edgy stories. He still does. He did that for year one. He did that for All Star Batman and Robin. By the way, do not read All Star Batman and Robin. It is hot garbage. But yeah, that's what he did. He's the one who warped the perspective of Batman to what everybody sees Batman as now, and it kind of set the mold for every writer coming after him to emulate. And that's that. Now we're at that point where everybody thinks that Batman with prep time could take God himself, and that's probably not something that I should be saying, but that's something that people say. People say that Batman can take on Superman or Batman can take on Godzilla with prep time. Who are you kidding? Right? Who are you kidding with this? Okay, there are people out there who say Batman can take Goku with prep time. Who are you kidding? Like, although granted, yeah, Goku is stupid enough to let Batman beat him, but still. Right? But that's a different debate altogether. The major issue here being that the perspective of what we see Batman as today, the perspective that most Batman fans see Batman as today, is mostly based off of Christopher Nolan's interpretation of Batman and the Dark Knight Returns perspective of Batman. Like these two, like 75% of fans you talk to who are fans of Batman, who love Batman, this is what they base their perspective off of: Christopher Nolan and Frank Miller. Right? They forget Rainbow Batman. They forget, oh, Robin, we're going to be one big Bat family Batman. where he's making out with Catwoman in the back of the Batmobile. Yes, that is canon. Right? We forget the Bat Cow. Walla Batman. Yes, there is a Bat Cow. We forget Batmite Walla
Yeah.
Batman.
Don't forget Zur-En Ah,
Zurina?
the Batman of Zur-En Ah.
Oh,
When he goes into an amnesic state, he goes into Batman of Zur-En Ah.
yeah. See, people forget that these are Batman as well. But whenever you talk to a Batman fan, it's Nolan, Miller, and Jeff Johns. But that's pretty much it. And every time
Yeah,
Batman has seen as this big guy who can take on the world, it's mostly when he's tackled by people emulating the story styles of Nolan and Miller. Look at New 52. New 52 Justice League took Batman down a peg a lot in the beginning.
Which was needed, honestly.
Like they really hammered in the you're just a guy in a bat suit thing. The first 10 issues were the league making fun of Batman. I shit you not. Like the first 10 issues was essentially issue 6 after they defeat Darkseid. Issue 6 is when they're doing the mission with the Talons because it was a tie-in with the Court of Owls issues. And okay, it was issue 7, I think, but it was right after the Darkseid invasion thing, and they did the crossover with that, and they were about to go. Green Arrow wanted to join, and they wouldn't let Green Arrow join, and they said, "We already have one guy without powers. We don't need another one." Right? It's like that was literally the dialogue that Green Lantern said to Green Arrow.
Now, you see, the thing about that one is that Green Lantern is the one who dealt with Batman the most in the New 52's comics and through the, if you want to talk about through movies, Justice League War.
Yeah.
So that's why he is a little grumpy, for a lack of a better word. That the idea of someone without powers outsmarted the Green Lantern, a guard, like an intergalactic police officer protecting Earth, twice in the same event.
The sewer scene with Green Lantern.
Yeah, the sewer scene where it takes the ring.
Exactly.
Now,
Like what are you? Do you have super sonar? Do you fly? Wait, you're just a guy in a bat suit, aren't you? Are you kidding me? Then he checks the ring out. Yeah, scenes like that.
okay, so let me just comment on that real quick. That scene is bullshit. Right? It was bullshit in the comics and it's bullshit in the movie. Let me tell you why.
All right.
Canonically, no one should be able to take the ring off a living lantern.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, they have safeguards for that.
The ring itself will try to kill anybody who tries to take the ring off a lantern. And and you know why Batman was so easily able to take off that ring? Guess who wrote New 52 Justice League? Jeff Johns.
Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, technically, canonically, Batman became a lantern.
Wasn't he a yellow lantern though?
I don't know what color lantern he became. He became a lantern.
I think it was yellow lantern because I
He
remember
did-
seeing the toys.
He did become a lantern. I think it was Yellow Lantern. But that's not really the debate here, is it? The debate is that people are like, you just said Batman was able to take off the ring, and there you go. It was because we have writers who like to pander to Batman.
Isn't it the case with everyone, though? Isn't it the case with Superman?
No one is pandering to Superman. In fact, people in the last few decades have tried to bring Superman down a peg. They tried to make Superman seem more like a wimp. Superman, who's literally able to move planets on his back and then still have enough time to go out and save another galaxy, is now getting shot in the chest by Lex Luthor for no reason whatsoever. For Superman, they actively try to make Superman seem more like a wimp because they try to make Superman more relatable. But with Batman, the writers like to pander to that Frank Miller style of writing, and they try to make him seem like this impossible strategist, which he isn't. Yes, he is smart. Yes, he's had great ideas. Yes, he's outsmarted a few people, but that is not like him 24/7. Those are him in some shining golden moments, right? The thought that Batman can take care of any situation is possibly true if he has the prep time. But let's be honest, how often do you think Batman is going to get prep time?
Superman has better chances than Batman. That's obvious.
Like, how often is Batman realistically in a fight, how often is Batman going to get prep time? How often is there going to be a situation where Batman is told, oh, you're going to fight Godzilla in 3 weeks. Prepare yourself.
Already had that discussion.
Okay? How often?
Trust me, I think Death Battle even dealt with this situation twice.
Like, Death Battle made Batman fight Captain America. And Batman won. Batman won against Captain America because that makes perfect sense. You don't need that much prep time to figure out Captain America. He's somebody has enhanced strength and speed and agility, but he's still human. He still fights like a normal person, apart from that shield. Batman would be able to take him out in a short amount of time. But when Death Battle handled Batman versus Spider-Man, that was the more appropriate win because Spider-Man won that, and that makes perfect sense. Batman has no idea what the limits of Spider-Man's powers are and what Spider-Man can do. Spider-Man could easily take care of Batman, which was the case in Death Battle as well.
I also want to remind everyone that Batman has beaten the Hulk in the comics.
Yeah, that he has.
Okay, one thing I gotta steer the conversation this way. Batman's no gun rule does not make sense at all.
Oh, come on. No. Okay. I can say a lot about the no gun rule here.
He had guns.
He doesn't want to use handguns, but he's okay putting guns on his car, his plane, his satellite.
He's used
but
he's used
before.
He's used guns before.
He's used guns before.
No, but he has a rule, right? Like, no, I'm not going to use
a gun. No, he has never had such a... Only in the Nolan trilogy has he had that rule.
Only in the Nolan. Before, he used to have guns.
Only in the Nolan trilogy has he had the rule of no guns. I mean, come on. Technically, a grappling hook is a gun.
Okay, no. That's not a gun. Let's talk.
No. That is just me bringing a point. In the initial comics, in the 1939, 1940 comics, not only we see the Joker using guns, we see Batman using shotguns and a regular gun as well.
Yeah, he had a short gun also, I think, a Colt 45 or something. He used to carry it around.
But the only difference is, which was also shown in the Frank Miller comics, is that he uses rubber bullets.
Yeah, he doesn't kill. That's the main point.
He doesn't kill. He doesn't kill unless it's his absolute last resort.
Okay, but what about all those henchmen he beats up and they have internal bleeding and stuff like that?
Never to kill, only to wound.
Never to kill.
Yeah, but then what if they die in the process?
Well, then, the Batman's technically not liable. See, that's what okay, so like Batman has this no killing rule that Frank Miller butchered in his telling of The Dark Knight Returns, because he made Batman kill the Joker. And
a lot of other people.
I mean, do we really see Joker being killed?
Like, he did die unless
we do. In the Dark Knight Returns, he does get killed. In the Killing Joke, we don't see it.
Yeah, in the Killing Joke.
It's been rumored that he does, but no. In the Dark Knight Returns, he was killed. Neck completely twisted.
Yeah.
And then,
I remember now.
Dick Grayson became the Joker. And the horrible, god-awful sequel to The Dark Knight Returns called The Dark Knight Strikes Back. Or Strikes Again. One of the two. Right? And it was it was so bad. Dick Grayson became the Joker. Amar put a picture of Dick Grayson as a Joker right here so that people can see how bad that looked. Right? But here's the thing, right? So Batman, honestly, I don't remember before 1980s where Batman had a no killing rule. Interesting, isn't it? After Frank Miller did he get the no killing rule?
Yeah, but wait, didn't Frank Miller go around kill the Joker and all that?
Maybe that's
why last resort.
Maybe that's why they put the rule like, yo, Frank Miller's butchering Batman. We got to do something about him.
Hey, if anybody watching has a reference before 1986 where Batman had a no killing rule, please leave that below, because we read a lot of comics, we're big fans, but we obviously have gaps in our knowledge. There's way too much content out there. So if you guys can correct us, we're more than happy to listen to the correction, and we can accept when we're making mistakes inside issues.
And if you guys have references, we also would love those too. So be sure to give us links to references or images or whatever. Be sure to give us links.
Even titles will be fine. We'll
Yeah,
we'll work on that.
we'll work on it. We can do a revamp of this debate with additional information later. That's something else. But
Yeah.
the point. Let's come back to the main debate. The I think I've made a lot of points so far, and um, there are a lot of there are a few more points I'd like to make. Amar had a really solid point about Robin being a factor in kind of being a motivational factor to being like popular for Batman because kids would see themselves as Robin, right? And quite frankly, when I watched Batman Forever, I wanted to be Robin because for some reason I love that Batman Forever suit. In fact, I would still wear that today. I would wear that today if I could. But we've been talking for quite some time. We could talk for a bit more, but I think ultimately my thoughts on Batman would be that despite everything we've said, we've discussed his skill set. There were two other things we were supposed to discuss. The second topic being, oh shoot, I forgot what the second topic was. The third topic was the perception of Batman to the public eye. The first topic was his skill set, and the second topic was, I forgot what the second one was. If I remember, I'll bring it up. But we've pretty much covered all the bases of all three of those things while discussing. So there you go. But ultimately, if I had to say based on what we've talked about, I would still, at the end of this debate, I still believe Batman is overrated. But it's only because of these fans who don't understand what Batman used to be and what Batman was supposed to be. Batman was never ever meant to be this brooding character because for 30 years he wasn't. And the fact that he became one is not one, it's not a decision obviously that I hate. Okay? It's a decision that I liked. It's a decision that definitely helped his character development later. But it kind of gave rise to people trying to emulate Miller and emulate a lot of these edgy stories that kind of made Batman played out. So we're at this point now where Batman is just like people when people talk about Batman, the only thing they talk about now is Batman being able to defeat anybody with prep time. And that's it. No one talks about anything else about Batman. Not about his character development, not about anything else. Only Batman can beat this guy with prep time, right?
Okay,
And on that note, we started this debate. I still think Batman is overrated. Junaid, you have stuff to say.
I don't think that's the only reason why people. That's not the only reason that Batman can defeat anyone with kryptonite. Even if you watch any movie of Batman, there is always a development going on. There is always a flow to a movie. You cannot really predict when he will beat any other villain. You cannot really predict how he will beat any villain. There is always a skill set involved. There is always a prep time. Yes, it is involved. There is always a way, a tactic which is involved, and how he will use what peripherals he has to his advantage. He will choose a venue. So you really see all those things, not uh, like we see with Wonder Woman or we see with Superman. Okay, you see the villain, you just go bang him and you just blow buildings off. Just take the villain and through the buildings and just fly away with it. The thing with Batman is even if he's fighting Bane, which is twice or thrice the size of Batman, he still chooses a venue. He still chooses a place where he thinks the villain would be most vulnerable, where he can take it, where he can take advantage of it with, again, the most common thing which we know about Batman, he fights in the dark. I mean, we've seen him in the light as well. We've seen it at daytime as well. But the most effective, even in the animation and even in the older movies, was he's most effective in the day, in the night, in the daytime. And thing with which is in favor of Batman is that he's involved himself as the bat. One thing which is feared is bats. He evolved and he overcame his fear. Now he calls himself the Batman. which makes him follow the steps of bats to come in the nighttime, which gives him an advantage. Like you, he knows the ways, he knows the full city on where he can take whichever villain he can. Even when we see the fight with Bane in the comics, which he takes on Bane in the warehouse, the Bane with the whole thing, the drugs thing. So he's fully planned. He can take out. He could have taken out Bane outside, but he knows he doesn't have that one advantage in the outer field. He can take out Joker anywhere. To be dead honest, we've seen how he's killed him in the Killing Joke, which was a fun addition. I'm not sure why you guys hate Killing Joke. I to be honest loved it, but we've seen what he can do, and we've seen how he will do. Harvey Dent, when he becomes the Two Face, he can take him out anytime, but he doesn't. He wants to give him a second chance, like he went after Scarecrow. So he chooses the place, he chooses the time, he chooses the vulnerability of the villain, and then he goes for it. Other superheroes, they have the advantage, they have the superpower, they can beat any other, but they have collateral damage more than what Batman does. That's my point.
Yeah, Amar, I got nothing. Yeah, Amar, you take it from here.
Okay then. Okay, so what do I want to say? Okay, there's a lot I want to say, but let me condense it. Is Batman overrated? Yes. Is it Batman's fault? No.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that yes, Batman, like I mentioned before, Batman has a lot of combination of brain and brawn that everyone likes. Us as the audience, especially those who are literally into Batman being their favorite character just because of the movies. I'm looking at you, Nolan trilogy.
Hey, hey,
This
it was a good
is.
movie.
Except
I am not
Rises.
denying that. I accept
Except
Rises.
Rises,
I love them all.
obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rises was good, but again, they were
but that
good.
wasn't
No,
the
I.
movie's
The,
fault. It was
I the
making.
problem was not the movies per se. The problem was what the movies made people think of Batman. Because it's one thing about a movie being artsy, and that's a completely different argument altogether about the Nolan trilogy. I'm just gonna make it a little brief because I think we can make a big episode about this in its own way. But the thing about the Nolan trilogy was that apart from being artsy, like they started giving these whole point of views, not just for Batman but for the other villains as well. And to think, and because Batman had all these point of views, like how he needs to be above the law, but at the same time he has to follow it. Like, what are you trying to do here? But that is the thing here. Like they the Nolan trilogy, particularly. Although I can say a lot about the Burton movies and the Schumacher movies, they have done something similar as well. But the main focus is that the Nolan trilogy re-sparked the love of Batman in a more bigger sense. But it is not in a good way. Because now instead of people loving Batman for what he is, an amazing genius slash brawn, person of with brain, brawn, and a lot of amazing character development, they're focusing more on him being just a person without powers who was above everyone else. And that's not what Batman is. It's the audience's perception of what the Nolan trilogy has made Batman, and not just the Nolan trilogy. It's let's say Justice League, Doom, with the whole or the Tower of Babel comics per se. Nolan, I agree with the mayor. Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns added a lot to this, especially with the whole Superman aspect, fighting Superman and practically winning. All of this was a main factors to people thinking that Batman can do anything, and because of the hype of what audience have seen after the Nolan trilogy, because the movies came out of the Dark Knight trilogy like around the point or shortly after, um, that people started thinking that Batman can do anything, and that he is above every Justice League member. And let's be honest, those of us who have read the comics know that's not true. In fact, it's because of the hype of these audiences that we had an amazing story where Dick Grayson was Batman and Damian was Robin, and that was scrapped because people wanted Bruce Wayne back, and that's all because of the audience. It's because of what the people were like. Oh no, Batman is perfect. Batman is above it all. We want Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is the one we want, and because of that, we lost an amazing story. So yeah, if you want to blame Batman being overrated, I would say blame the audience, because like with the Nolan trilogy, and I'm assuming like maybe possibly the Batman, which is coming out soon, possibly next year, I believe. I think Mubarak told me that a while ago.
4th March, yes.
4th March.
2022.
I am hoping that it reignites Batman again, but in a more different light. Understanding that he can do all these things, but he is still human.
Commenting on that, I'm actually looking forward to that new Batman movie, specifically because we come back to the root of what Batman used to be, what we call him to be, the world's greatest detective, because it's more of a detective noir story than it is a superhero story. So
Right, that's something to be
exactly,
looking forward to.
that's Batman going back to his roots. That's Batman being a detective, which we saw in Batman Begins. We saw it in the Dark Knight. We did not see it in the Dark Knight Rises at all. So, like, the thing that makes Batman so good is the fact that he is a good detective, and we kind of lost that along the way. And I'm glad to see that at least the Pattinson version of Batman, the Batman, Matt Reeves Batman, is going to go back to that detective noir style of storytelling for Batman, which might actually turn out really well, really good. So on that note, unless anybody else has anything to say, let's do a quick vote and call it close.
Just make a Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond, yes, we need a Batman Beyond movie.
Hey, Warner Brothers.
We definitely need a Batman Beyond.
And if you need a Terry.
Yeah, you'll be Talha, the Desi Terry McGinnis. But anyway, a couple of points to make. When we started this debate, we had one person neutral, one person saying Batman is overrated, and two people saying Batman is not overrated. So at the end of this debate, show of hands who now agrees Batman is overrated. Remains unchanged. Although technically Amar did agree with me that Batman is overrated. I don't see why he didn't raise his hand.
I said that he is overrated because of the audience's perception of him.
That's what I've been saying the whole time. That's what we're measuring here.
No, but I want to think of it more as a Batman as a whole, and he is not overrated.
Batman, the internet meme, is overrated. The Batman that people think can do anything with prep time. Batman
That I agree with.
At his root is not.
Fair enough. And on that note, guys, JusticeCon is happening right now. And by the time this video goes up, hopefully there's still time to vote. We'll leave the links down below in the description. Vote for our very own Batman Beyond, or Shazam, or Harley Quinn, whoever you want. We have a Pakistani representation at JusticeCon. Let's make the most of it. And don't forget to go to the professional section and vote for Scarecrow.
The images will all be available to you right now.
Perfect. So on that note, let's close this dhaba.
Did you like that video? I think you liked that video. Check out our other videos. Check out our channel. Subscribe. Like our videos.